Hey everyone, I'm Hallease Beast, a digital storyteller and video producer.
And I'm Mr.Hallease. I'm a registered nurse and the architect of my own destiny.
Oh wow, okay. This is the Beastcast, your favorite aunt and uncle talking about married life and things like such as.
Roll the music.
So this week's podcast episode is about a simple question. Do you think, Mr. Hallease, that we got married too young?
This feels like an interrogation with the lights.
Maybe. Who knows? What do you think?
No.
We'll see you next week. No, okay, so you don't think we got married too young? Well, okay, so first off, when did we got married? When I was 21. So he was 24, I was 21. Got hitched.
So, I mean, historical context, right? People used to get married a lot younger, the whole arranged marriage and whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when are you ready to be married? I guess, first off, you need to be old enough to consent, in whatever sense that is, right?
Right.
But on top of that, I mean, when are you old enough to want to be in a sustained relationship?
So I struggle with this because I often do wonder, did I get married a little too early considering everything? Like the whole hindsight bit, you know?
What you wanted to
2020
finagle with other people's like man bits, man jangles? You felt like you missed out on all that meat? That's not appropriate, I guess.
No, it's not at all.
You missed out on all those flings?
No, so I don't think I don't feel like regretful of like, oh, I missed out on all these flings and all these opportunities to fling about and fling here and fling there.
Fling your bits around.
Fling everywhere. I feel it more so in just like unique experiences that I think sometimes do help you grow as an individual. So that way when you do come into a relationship, you are just better prepared. You have like a better sense of self before you embark on this journey of like incorporating someone else's life into your own. So there are times that I've thought back and been like, man, I wish I had experienced this before I got married. Not because I don't want to be married anymore, but because I would probably have a level of maturity coming into this instance of whatever we're going through that I definitely didn't have when we first got married.
Like, that's interesting that you take it that way. I see it more of like how marriage is this level that you try to achieve, like it's this upper echelon of something. It's like almost like a badge. So it's like, oh well, was I ready to earn the badge? Moo 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 moo.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening / watching this Beastcast. If you're new here, there's a few things you can do. First off, like, share, and subscribe because that helps everyone out.
On any medium, whether
Yes.
this is Anchor or wherever you get your favorite podcast, or YouTube.
Yeah. Liking, sharing, follow / subscribing helps. Reviewing. It all helps. So please do it. If you're watching here specifically on YouTube, hi. Let the ads play, please. That really does help us out a lot. But we understand if you need to skip it because we understand. The other thing... Times are tough. The other thing, if you want to take it a step further, become a supporter of this channel and the Beastcast on Patreon. Patreon.com/Hallease. We have so many new Patreon producers. So many new ones. We're going to name them.
Do it.
Okay. Raheem and Jacinda. I hope I said your name right. Welcome.
Or Hacinda? Abdul?
Oh, or it could be Jacinda.
Welcome.
Let us know. Amina, welcome.
Welcome.
Is Pretty Faithful. That's her screen name, so I'm assuming it's a woman. Welcome.
Hi.
And Isidro Chilo Juarez.
Chilo, what's up?
Welcome.
Thanks. Just to give you all a sense of
Appreciate
what
it.
your dollars are going to, one is coffee that I need to be coherent in these podcasts.
If he doesn't have the coffee, he's like not talking. I'm like, dude, this is not a good episode.
Yeah, we figured that out early on.
Very quickly.
Those were dark days.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're also hoping to get some sort of mic stand situation. I keep forgetting that this is ultimately what we're trying to get to.
Yes.
It is a little uncomfortable, and I have to like hunch my shoulders to talk to this thing. I've had to lift it up on this little tripod, but there are mic stands. People have invented this where I could lean back in my chair and it could still be in front of my face, or we could be sitting on a couch. Y'all, like on a couch talking about things, comfortable on our comfy IKEA couch, not a sponsor. That could be our existence. But that's only possible through donations by you Patreon producers, and we really appreciate it.
Yes.
For the rest of you that aren't producers, I mean, we're just happy that you're here and watching and listening.
Thank you. Yes, if you go to our Patreon, you'll see that we're halfway to our goal. And yeah, if we hit the goal, then we'll have the funds to buy better microphones, so that way we can sit on a couch if we want to.
I mean, just imagine, just picture it. Picture this mind picture. Just leaning back on a couch, talking about, or not even talking, just listening to your significant other rip apart things that they find annoying about you. Just imagine that in your head. But like the couch is holding you and caressing you, and it's almost as if it's saying, it's gonna be okay. I accept your imperfections, and yes, you can fart into me, and that's okay. Anyway, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for supporting this channel and the Beastcast. We really appreciate it. Now, what?
Oh, I was just gonna mention the merch too. Since I'm wearing the
too
shirt.
much.
It's too much.
There's merch. There you go.
There's merch if you want it. There's
right.
a link somewhere.
Yeah, okay. Back to the podcast.
Moo. Do you think we got married too young?
Sometimes I think I do think we got married just a smidge too young. But I'm also like,
We were forced to get married though.
there's no other way this could have happened.
We
weren't forced to get married.
Your parents would have. So, have we ever told them?
Yeah, we've told them that.
Okay.
Well, actually, have we really?
No.
We've hinted at it.
So we wanted to. I didn't really believe in marriage. Whoa.
Right. Yeah, you didn't.
This is a fun topic. Well, I mean, I felt like marriage was just like, it was an empty procedure that you went through, and it was for the benefit of others, which it still is. That's what I think.
Yeah, but a lot of your gripe about it was more about the ceremony itself, not necessarily
Organized religion.
Yeah,
like
you were more
me.
yeah, and all that kind of stuff. Not necessarily the act of spending your life with somebody.
No, it was also we had already announced that we were getting married, or that we wanted to get married, and then everyone was making it about themselves, and that's why we eloped. But you had gone to LA. And I was totally ready. I mean, I'm just willing and ready for you to come back. But then we had talked about it, and, you were going to move back and we were going to live together.
Yeah.
Because we were moving to Austin because of your career.
Right. Yeah,
wedlock?
I think it was my mom. I think one of them. I think it was my mom who was like, I was explaining to her my game plan for the next year of my life, because it's coming up on graduation and all this kind of stuff from college. And I was like, yeah, and then probably going to move to Austin. Me and Mr.Hallease are thinking about just moving in together to save, because we were already engaged by then. So I was like, we're already engaged. We were just going to go ahead and live together. And then, that just so we're saving. And it was literally, for me, it was, totally about saving money. And, why would we both be paying separate rents and starting new leases and, all this stuff?
I went about it from a totally different
You wanted to
focus.
live with me. You wanted me to move in with you a lot earlier than going to LA.
We had done long distance-ish.
Yeah.
I was just done with the distance. I just wanted you there.
Yeah. No, even when we were dating.
Yeah, because we were
over the
still long
summer.
distance. Well,
Even over the summer, by the end of the summer, you were like, I just want you to live here with me. And I was like, no, that's not happening. You had kind of low-key
I think, I
you had
remember that.
danced around, you were asking but not asking, and I just squashed it. I was like, nah, bruh. Sure.
Anyway, so my old roommate and we knew what we wanted personally, and we attempted to pursue it after we graduated. And it just didn't work out. And so then we started focusing professionally, because this was at the height of the Great Recession.
Mm-hmm.
And socializing was not really our forte. So we knew that we wanted to get married. He knew that he wanted to have kids. I was still kind of on the fence. I knew that I just wanted a family. I wanted to start something of my own. So when we first started dating, I mean, I wasn't dating to date. I was dating for an established relationship. And so once I had that feeling that this was going to be it, this was a relationship that I wanted, then yeah, I just wanted to, like, I mean, you already set up the tent. Just put the stakes in. We'll just camp here. It's fine. There's no bear trace or anything. It's great.
Yeah. So in most decisions in life, there are trade-offs, right?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So there are trade-offs. So it's like if you end up finding a relationship with someone, you're gonna trade some things off. Now, I personally think that those trade-offs are worth it, right? So you can't necessarily quickly get up and move because you're affecting someone's life if you do that.
No, true.
You know, you can't necessarily make too many split-hair decisions. I mean, you can in a marriage, but that's a lot of unnecessary tension for you and a partner that don't need to happen. But to me, I feel like having a partner to go through life outweighs a lot of the, I guess, for lack of a better word, freedoms that you can have as a single person. But at that same time, I think it's good to experience some of that freedom for yourself, because in it you find who you are, like what is at your core a little bit. I feel like in the beginning of our marriage, I was still kind of, I feel like I've always had a pretty good sense of self, but being married at such an early age, like I feel like I did backtrack a little bit at times at different phases of our relationship in the beginning, you know? And that was so immature. That was very immature, very irresponsible, all of the things. But it was also like, I mean, I'm 20. Like, that's what 20-year-olds do. Like, they make irrational
you make
decisions.
Mistakes, right.
You know?
I mean, I made stupid mistakes. But so I remember in the moment that thinking, yes, you were still immature. You were still, I don't want to say immature. You were still maturing. It was gonna be cheaper to live together, right? So I was at some like startup terrible job. I was gonna start work as a unit clerk. Unit clerks don't get paid nothing. You weren't gonna really get paid ish.
I was freelancing, so yeah,
you were looking
very
for a job.
Inconsistent work.
So it made more sense to pool the resources.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wanted to live with you, and I loved you, and all these other things, right? So, I mean, it just made sense to do it. Now, had we not been married at that point, during the time period of the first year, would we have stayed together? Were we mature enough to weather that?
I think we still would have made it. Maybe I'm wrong. I think we still would have made it, because even though we wouldn't have gone through the ceremonies and like, you know, all that stuff, I think we still would have made it, because even though you don't necessarily go through the ceremony, you still have all these binding things. So we signed a lease together, right? We signed up for internet together. Like, there's all these, we combined some resources together. Like, even if you don't have the traditional contractual marriage thing, there's still a lot of stuff you gotta break apart if you decide to at least take a big step like moving in with someone.
It's not that complicated though, because most of the utilities were under my name.
Yeah, so it's not that complicated for you.
Oh no, it wasn't that complicated for both of us, because it's like, oh well, most of the utilities were in my name, right? The lease was jointly signed, so that kind of would have been a pain in the butt. We would have had to have gone to the office to see if they would have broken it,
which cost money that we wouldn't have had.
Depends on the complex, but traditionally yes. Whatever resources we had, we would have had to have hashed that out. I mean, it's not that complicated. If you don't want to be with the other person, it's not that complicated. I'm looking back to that first year, and it was You were acting like it wasn't going to work. And then you had that paradigm shift.
I don't know, man. Maybe it wouldn't have worked. I think for me, it wasn't even about wanting to leave you. It was more just about like, I just need to take a step back. Like, I just want to take a break, which that sounds like cop out to the max. I know you're not about breaks. You're just like, then that person just doesn't want to be with them. Whereas I'm the type of person where I'm like, if someone wants to take a break, I think I understand that. I can understand that. You do not understand that. You're very ultimatum-y.
What was it, This American Life podcast that I was listening to on a run, where this guy proposed to his girlfriend, and they were the only ones that they had ever dated, and then the girlfriend proposed instead of an answer to the marriage proposal. What if we need to see other people, or what if we saw other people? For a period of 30 days, which they both determined would be the time period, they dated, slept with, whatever, with as many people as possible. Right? Mm-hmm. I told you about this.
You did. I'm just like thinking in terms of like, I wouldn't.
Well, no, so that's taking a break to an extent. I mean, that's a flavor or a version of taking a break.
Yeah, it's a version.
But
that's not what I would. But
well,
okay.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, keep going. Tell your story.
They eventually got married, and then ended up with the right people later. Yeah, we talked about the episode, and I thought, oh, well, yeah, but if she answers the proposal with, I'm not sure, let's date other people, then in my mind, that's, oh, so the answer in your head is no. And you just are still kind of on the fence, but you want confirmation on the no. Because if it's not yes, then if it's an I don't know, then that leans more no than yes in my book.
See, to me, like an I don't know is just I don't know. Because it is, I mean, how can you be so sure about the rest of your life?
I mean, so this is actually...
You know what I'm saying?
This is actually causing me to question...
No.
Well, no, it's causing me to question, like, the entire nature of the relationship.
Oh, God.
Well, no. So, I mean, it's like, were we ever meant to be together? Or did we just, like, make it work? Like, is most marriage just making it work? In that podcast, they mentioned like, well, you know, some team or some group was making an equation about, you know, how many people can they actually date, right? Like how many eligible people within a city could they possibly be potential partners with? And so it was like, you know, most of the population's 50-50.
Yeah.
So you take most of the men out, or you take the men out.
Yeah.
If you're heterosexual. And then it's that female pool, how many of them are over the age of 18, and then how many of them realistically are within an age bracket that you would find acceptable.
Right.
And then how many of them would you find attractive?
Yeah.
And then how many of them are actually even available or single?
Yeah.
And so then it goes smaller, smaller, smaller. And it's like, okay, well, this is your pool in this city. But it's not reasonable to think that there's only one person for one person, because then, and they made this joke in the podcast, I hope you speak Mandarin, because what if that person is in China?
Which we've talked about before. One of our episodes was like,
right.
Do you believe in soulmates?
And so we made it work in the relationship, but was it because we were already married?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know. But I feel like that's also inherent to who at least you are anyway. I feel like you are a make it work kind of person, and you are a very committed person.
That's true. Like
you make a decision and then you just own it. You own that decision.
So it's Mr. Hallease rant a little bit time.
Oh.
Or I'm just going to like figure this out. So
okay.
Going back, it doesn't matter whether somebody is a soulmate or, you know, is it just working it out? Are you destined to be together? I don't care. Right. So,
okay.
Like I'm with you. I don't regret being with you.
Yeah.
And again, per a previous podcast episode, like I've never had that doubt rise up in my mind, like, ever. No matter how hard it got, it never popped up. So I never questioned the validity of the relationship that we were in, right?
Mm-hmm. Which you really should have, though. Maybe.
I'm stubborn. I'm a stubborn man. Going back to the original question, I don't feel like marriage, and I also had this epiphany just now. Wow, maybe it's the coffee. It's like having kids. So it's not a rational decision to be in a relationship or to get married. It's not. It's you're basing it on these feelings that you have, and the feelings are just chemicals in your brain, right? That you're interpreting as a certain thing.
Well, you're talking about getting married from the romantic sense, not getting married from the like life sense. I think it's a very rational decision to get married. Again,
And you mentioned that before.
Yeah. Again, like two heads are better than one.
But it's also like having kids. Like we questioned in that one now infamous podcast, why does anyone even have kids? And there's not a good reason for it. We kept asking for a good reason, and we never get one because there isn't one. Well, no, because if you want to have kids, you just want to have kids.
Yeah.
And we ask people, well, why do you want to have kids? Well, I want legacy, or we had so much love to give, or we had this or that. None of those are good reasons, but it doesn't matter because that's the reason that they were attaching to this emotion, right?
Yeah, okay.
Same thing with marriage. So can you be too young to get married? Obviously, no. And I'm talking about like legal marriage and not child abuse. But like if you're two consenting adults, you can do whatever you want, including marriage. It's like, well, so do you have the level of emotional maturity? What if you just knew each other a little bit more, or this or that? Like there's no ladder into marriage. It's just, I love you and I want to be with you, and so let's do this thing, right? So I still see it as like a badge.
I guess I think about it more in terms of like what's the ideal scenario to get married, right?
But again,
which is like the same thing with having kids. Like, what's your ideal scenario, right?
It's the same thing with like having a perfect project, though, with being a perfectionist. If you wait until it's perfect, it never gets done.
Because that's the thing, when you get married, you kind of lose a sense of your individuality, right?
Right.
And so that's why I often wonder, like, oh, did we get married too young? Because I know that I never really actually got a sense to truly be individual. Where you're actually a professional, just like working for yourself, making money for yourself, taking care of yourself. I mean, obviously, yeah, I take care of myself, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's one thing to do that truly alone and on your own to a certain degree. I've never lived alone. Ever. I went from having a college roommate to dorm women roommates to you. So I've never lived alone. I've never traveled. Well, I've traveled alone now for work and stuff, but like never just on my own. There's all these experiences that you miss out on when you get married at a young age. And to me, it makes sense because, again, as I said in the beginning, I think the pros outweigh the cons. But I do also recognize that having those moments for yourself, it does make you overall a better person. So that way, when you do find someone, you appreciate them more, all of that. It's kind of like the past year we've had, where it's like now we have a deeper understanding of the value of things and the value of space and the value of time. And it's because we went through something to have that understanding of that value. So that's why I pose the question to you, like, oh, do you think we got married too young? Because I feel like from 21 to about 24, I was trying to like work through the value because I didn't have the experiences on my own to know for, like, I know I took you for granted. It's because I didn't experience things.
I guess it really just speaks to who we are, because you see like the lack of experiences and you see like endless opportunity. Like you see the good or like the potential in it, right? Where I look back on the 2 years that I was a bachelor, and it was depressing because I wasn't earning that much money. So I lived in a studio. It was always dark because I was always cognizant about how much money I was spending on utilities. Didn't eat very well. Watched TV a lot. Like, didn't like going out, dating other people. It was always empty. Even if you had feelings for them, like it was always just empty, whether there was sex or not. They can edit it out if you want. Edit that part out, I guess. But it's like every everything that led up to you, yeah, like it informed my decision of being with you. But I'm just thinking about like, oh, if we had other experiences or we like lived on our own a little bit more. Oh, I get it now. Yeah, I think maybe you got married too young. Because
You experienced
I had
it.
the experiences.
And that's what made you think like, oh, this is good. This is what it is. You know?
Maybe
I didn't have them.
So maybe the marriage may or may not have kept you. The fact that we were married may or may not have kept you in the relationship, but I was not going anywhere. Because despite how rough it was, I knew that, or I felt like there was nothing else out there, and I already had, not in like even a negative sense, like, oh, well, you're all I have, but no, it's like, you were the one that I chose, and you are all I have.
Yeah.
So the tone is different, and I am not leaving. It's like, you may want to leave me, but I'm going to have to make it hard for you to want to leave, not in like a abusive way. Excuse me, but in a, like, I will fight for this.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it came up to you within that first year of marriage. Again, you do the things that you like to do, which is talk about really deep, purposeful issues late at night.
Yeah.
When I am tired. So I got back from work. It was a long day. We were in bed, and then you wanted to talk about it. And again, you had brought it up like, well, what about leaving or this or that? I can't even remember the specifics of it. But I remember saying, because I got to that breaking point, and it's like, look, I'm tired. I have to work in the morning as well. Like, if you want to leave, then go.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I need to go to sleep. It's like, I'm sorry, I can't talk about this right now.
Yeah.
And so that
you
was...
didn't say sorry.
I didn't say sorry?
You didn't say sorry.
But that was the make or break moment for you.
Yeah.
And then you decided to stay, but... Because I was worried about you leaving, but then at that moment, it's like, look, I mean, like, we need the paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew the hell up.
Yeah, so maybe you got married a little too early. So is 25 the right age then?
Maybe.
Well, because, again...
Yeah, you've experienced a few things.
Well, no,
hopefully by then.
Your frontal lobe does not mature until 25. So your rational decision-making does not mature typically until about 25.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So
should you wait until after 25?
Maybe. I don't know. Because, I mean, when we were dating, I always knew that being with you was going to be a defining relationship of my life. Like, I would compare being with you to all other relationships if it didn't work out. Like, you would have to be on par with this or better because we communicated so well. It was very easy to be around you. Like, all of those foundational things.
So then did I pressure you to get married?
Yeah. I mean, you did. You did. Yes. You knew what you wanted. Case in point, talking about all the experiences you had, all the things, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. You knew what you wanted. So there you go.
I pressured you to get married. Wow.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Did you have a choice?
Yeah, I could have not married you.
What if I'm just a master manipulator?
You could be. That's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to
sit with the truth.
Yeah, to sit with that fact. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe you manipulated her into getting married.
I would not take it that far. I think that's the wrong word.
Influence still.
Sure, okay.
It's still manipulation. But
influenced. You influenced.
I tampered with you.
Tampered. Well, so you can think about it that way, but here's the real question. Like, I said yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could have said no.
It's true.
And it's not like I didn't know the question was coming or something.
And it's not like
I had already thought it through. It was very obvious the question was coming. So I'd already been taking the mental time and space to myself to think it through if I wanted to get married or not.
And even though you were 19 or 20, you were still very strong-willed.
Yeah.
So if you would have wanted to say no, you would have said no.
I would have said no.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I think what I'm settling with is more just like acknowledging that, yeah, I got married young, but there's no other way that could have played out. You know? No, I don't think so. Like, there's no other way. Because, again, you're very ultimatum-y, right? So if I had come back to you and said, yes, I want to get married, but I want to take a year and live on my own and, like, do this, do that, do the third. And, like, sometimes I'm going to check out and, like, you're just not going to hear from... Like, that's not... You would not be okay with that. No one should be okay with that. But that's what I would want to do.
I
maybe.
mean, if that's a relationship, like if you're fine with that type of thing,
yeah.
yes.
Which I'm sure there's relationships like that. I'm sure they exist.
No, you're right. I mean, I'm trying to think back and like, oh, can I second guess that?
No.
Can I go back and...
You would be like, well, why don't you want to be with me?
Oh, I was just neurotic. I think I had so many bad relationships where I was second guessing like who I was or what I contributed to a relationship that probably would have, not to sound like I'm made of glass or anything or super sensitive, but I think it would have broken me. And yeah, I probably would have been like, oh, I'm not good enough for her. Mm-hmm. And it's not that you need all these other like external stimuli just to see who you were. I think I would have fallen into like, oh yeah, I'm not good enough for her.
Because if we're working through this, it's like, okay, I got married too young. And I'm explaining that, like, yeah, it's good for people to go off and have their own individual experiences so that way they can bring that back into a relationship and make it whatever, right? So there's no way that I could have done that and kept you.
Right.
There's no way it would have happened. And so for me, I think what I ended up going through was, like, having to come to terms with, like, just, like, this is the progression of my life.
You need to give up certain freedoms. Freedoms are a term used loosely.
Yeah, not even certain freedoms. I need to give up certain...
You're closing doors.
Yeah, I need to close doors on some, like, option. Like, because like you said, I do see the infinite possibilities of everything, right? Mm. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to go with this path, that closes off a couple of different things, which is fine because this path actually is a really good one and outweighs that. That's why I always say I hate that slogan of like live with no regrets. If you are a human being making decisions, you will have regrets. That is life, you know. For better or worse, that's how it goes. Now, most people regret things they don't do. They don't regret things they did.
I regret things I did.
Yeah, on the superficial level, sure. But most people, like, with the big decisions, most people regret the things they didn't do. So they regret not taking that chance. Right. They regret not waiting for that person. They regret the big decisions, not the things that... Or they regret the indecisiveness or the indecision, or going, like, the safer route than taking a chance on something. And so for me, it was like, I don't look back and regret getting married at the age I got married, because that was a really great choice. But in making that choice, I had to forego some things. That's how I see it.
That's an interesting way to end this. And yeah, I'm just like summarizing for my own purposes, but yeah, so like the opportunity presented itself and you were like, well,
this is a great opportunity.
Right. It's like, I wish this maybe could be presented a few years later.
Yeah.
But
this is a great opportunity
that's not the way it panned out.
Now, so I'm going to take it now.
And I was so damaged. I just saw this like coming out from the wretches, from the hovel, like, oh, this thing, it's so awesome.
You weren't.
She's taking me. She's taking me, and I'm looking back at all the other little like wretches, and they're like, go to her. Be happy. And I'm like, I can't believe it's happening.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. You can go ahead and bring me down off that pedestal, please. Yeah, in the comments below, let us know about something. I don't know. If you're married, do you think you got married too young?
Or just do you think that you can be like, you can just be too early to anything, to any opportunity?
Yeah,
Or
that's
just,
a good way to put it.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, oh man, this job almost opened up, but you know, it was too early or I wasn't ready for
The
it.
timing's not right. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.